Hi, so we're going to talk about functions. So functions are very important in programming because they help to divide up our codes into reusable parts, such that we can call those parts whenever we need to use them. So instead of writing several codes, similar codes over and over again, we can simply write one code in a function and we can call it whenever we need to use that code. So let's see an example of what a function looks like. So first of all, before you can declare a function, you need to specify the keyword function. And when you've done that, then you can now specify the name of the function. So this time I'm going to call my function my fun that way. Then afterwards you'll put parentheses like brackets. Then you will now use curly brackets to open and close in curly brackets to open and close the function. So here you can now specify what you want the function to perform. So in this case, I want my function to log out, so I'm going to say console log as we've been using. So it's going to log out the word hello people. So it's going to say hello people. And now our function has been written and is ready to be called. So to call a function, you need to specify the name of the function and then you make sure that it contains the parentheses, that's the brackets. So we're going to do that now and we'll just simply copy this, put it here, and that's it. And now we've called the function. So when we save, what we have here is hello people. Why? Because within the function we specify that it should log out the word hello people. So what if we want to reuse this function over and over again? We can do that several times. So I'm going to copy that, paste here and here, and when I save that, you can see that it's called 3 times. Hello people, hello people, hello people. So that's the essence of having functions, because they are reusable and also they help to conserve space on your platform whenever you are programming or you are coding. So another thing with functions is that they take what we call arguments. Arguments are more like containers for variables that will be used within the function. So let me give an example here. For example, what if we want to change this hello people to a let me just call it to a variable called say something. So I'm going to say something that way. Now we've created a variable in there, and if we run this, you will see it will give us an error and it says something is not defined. Why? Because it's a variable but it's not been declared, it's not defined. So now we need to specify what say something means, and to do that we put in what we call arguments. So our first argument here will be this variable, which will be a container for that variable. So say something is what we'll put in there. So what this means is that anytime we specify my function with the parentheses, inside we must have an argument which will represent the variable that will be used within the function. So in this case, say something, I will have to specify when I'm calling the function something I need to say. So I'll say I love to take pictures. So I put in a string there, and that's what I want to say. So when I save that, what do we have? We have I love to take pictures. Why? Because you've put in the argument, which is a container for the variable, and now you've stated in the function that that container for the variable will be specified here, or will be logged out whenever the function is called. And now you need to specify what that variable is going to be in the as the argument, and that argument says something is now what we specified here. What if we want to change this? Maybe we don't want pictures, we want cars. So if you change that way and you save, what do we have? Say, I love to take cars. So that's how functions help, because they have variables that can be used within them, and because of that it can be used in multiple situations or scenarios. So you can also have multiple arguments. So we have say something, we can have say another thing. So I'm just going to copy that, put a second argument, and I'm going to say another thing that way. And I'm going to put the third argument. I'll say final note, something like that, final note. And now we have three arguments that has been included in the function. So if I save this, it's still going to say I love to take cars. But if I add a second argument to when called, so I'm going to say, which is going to represent say another thing. So I'm going to say and I love people, that way, and I save it. And now what do we see? I love cars. We are not seeing I love people. Why? Because declaring the variable that isn't enough. You need to specify within the function and include that. That's why it's not highlighted here. You need to specify within the function what is to do. So in this case, your console, you said log out, say something, and I'm also going to say log out, say another thing. That's way, like that. So once I save that, now we can see I love to take cars and I love people, just like we have here. So let's make this more like a statement. So I'm going to create a variable within it, and I'm going to say let my sentence be equals to, and I'm going to say the first thing, which is say something. So I'm going to copy that variable here, and I'm going to add that, but I'm going to create a space in between, and that space would come with the full stop. So I want after this statement I'll have a full stop and there will be a space. Then I'll concatenate that with the next statement, say another thing, that way, and I'll do the same thing. I'll create a space with the full stop, and the final one will be the final note, and then I will just give that full stop only. So I'll just close the space. So now I can, instead of logging them out separately, I'm just going to log out my sentence that way, my sentence. So if I save this, now we can see I love to take cars, full stop, space, and I love people, space. Now it says undefined. Why? Because we've not specified what final note is. So we need to come here when we are calling it, and we're going to specify final note, and I'll just say goodbye everyone, something like this, goodbye everyone. Now why is it giving me error? Because it's a string. So I'm going to make sure that that is doing the string. So I'll save that, and now we have I love to take cars and I love people, goodbye everyone. So we can also use numbers here, so we can just say 23, and now we can see I love to take cars and I love people, 23, even though that doesn't make sense, but it's just to show you that we can as well do that. So that's basically it. So let's see the tasks to see if we can solve what the problem is. So I'll go on to 1, and it says create a function called reusable function which prints the string hi world to the dev console, call the function. So I'm going to create the function. So I'm saying function, that's the keyword, function keyword, then reusable function. Now put that and that as the curly brackets. Then it says which brings the string hi world to the dev console. So definitely we're going to log it out on the console, and we're just going to say hi world. And remember, we have to call the function for that to execute. So I will do that to call it and save. And now we have hi world. So we've solved that. So number 2 says create a function called function with arguments or args that accepts 2 arguments and outputs their sum to the dev console. Call the function with 2 numbers as arguments. So we're going to call function with args. So use the function keyword, function with args, parentheses, and the square and the curly brackets, and then it's going to accept 2 arguments or parameters. So we can just say arg1 and arg2, something like that, or param1 and param2, whichever you want to use. Then it's going to output the sum, their sum on the dev console. So it means we're going to log that out, and the sum would be arg1 plus arg2, so they are going to be numbers. So now we need to call the function, so I'm just copying that, and we need to specify the 2 numbers. So I'm going to say 2 and 5, and if I save that, what we have here is 7, because we have the arg1 and arg2, and it accepts 2, arg1 accepts 2, and argument 2 accepts 5, so we get 7. So that's how to create functions and to use functions when programming.